All right. Well, welcome back. This is episode number 4 of the What Really Matters podcast. And just want to shout out everybody for all of the contributions so far. It's been really enjoyable to hear feedback from people, and we definitely encourage that. So if you notice anything or if you have any comments to make about any of the episodes, please leave us a comment, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're looking to grow and engage with people and share what really matters through, our conversation and help as many people as we can.
Yes, and we're constantly finding ways to improve and make this better. We're not professionals. We're just regular people trying to create a podcast. So yes, drop us a comment of any suggestions or comments, any topics you want us to talk about. Feel free to do that. That will make it more interesting. We want to talk about topics that you all want to hear. We're doing our best, finding ways to improve as best as we can, giving our limited audio-visual knowledge and
yeah, we're not podcast people, by the way. Yeah. So today, in for our conversation, we're talking before about living a good life and what does that mean in the midst of dealing with challenges or breakdowns or maybe missed expectations, and how do you still maintain a positive outlook on life when things seem to not be going your way?
Perfect.
So
just for everybody's knowledge, we have no advanced preparation.
Yeah.
There's no script to this.
Bring this closer to you.
Okay. There's no script. This is all organic. We just talk about this 5 minutes before recording, and here we are.
Yep. Yep. That's the beauty of it too, by the way.
Yeah.
Is it keeps it, if it's too scripted, it doesn't, like you were saying, it's like perfect teeth. It's like, You're kind of like,
There's beauty in imperfection.
Yeah.
Right? So I was telling Chris earlier, there are people who have perfect teeth, perfectly aligned, very white teeth, and sometimes there's beauty in a little bit crookedness of your teeth. So yeah, that's justification for our imperfections.
Right.
Okay.
So living a good life in the midst of breakdowns or missed expectations. I like for myself, I've been completing the year. I've been constituting for the new year, and for my performance from last year, just in life in general, there's some things that I did well. There are things that I didn't do so well. There are places where I can grow and learn. And, I was just thinking bigger picture, like what really matters about my constitution of a new year? Like, why is that important for my overall happiness and joy in life? And I know that 2 months in or even 7 days in, my plan is going to get, broken up by life.
Well, I guess to start off, I want to say the difference between you and me is that you're very organized, structured, and obviously you're very driven, but you're very structured. You have a very detailed strategy of how to get to what you want. I mean, I used to be like that.
Yeah.
I think my wife can tell you that. I used to be like that, but I'm much older now. And I think I've become very different in the sense that I keep things very simple. It's because if we play tennis or pickleball, for example, if I go into a match with all sorts of complex strategies that, I want to do this, I want to hit it here when they do this, if you have all sorts of strategies like that, you will not be able to execute. Because in a tennis match or pickleball match, it goes so fast, there's no time to think. It's all instinct. It's all just reacting to the situation. And so it's like when I give a talk, when I give a talk and I have a prepared speech and I have all these bullet points I want to hit, I end up doing worse rather than have a general idea of what I want to talk about and then just go for it, trusting the process that I know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
And besides, nobody else knows what I want to talk about, so
Right.
nobody can judge me whether I'm doing right or wrong or doing well or not. Like this podcast.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what we want to talk about, but we don't have any outline anyway. So this is better that we don't have an outline. It's very organic. It's just you just shoot from the hip and everything comes out natural. And I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. I always tell my kids when they prepare a speech, just have a general idea what you want to talk about and just speak. Even if you miss like 3 out of the 10 points you want to bring up, nobody would know. You're the only one who would know.
Right.
You know, like if you were doing a dance performance and nobody knows the dance, even if you miss a few steps, nobody knows. It's your dance, right?
Right.
So as far as life is concerned, I have a very simple strategy. Same goal. I just want to be better than I was yesterday. That's my whole strategy.
Got it.
Now, and then if I would to narrow that down, I would just say, what aspect of my life would I want to be better?
So do you spend, let's say, okay, new year, are you constituting, okay, this year I've noticed maybe I want to improve more in X, Y, or Z, or how do you approach that?
Well, I don't.
Okay.
So everybody does this New Year's resolution
Sure.
kind of thing, which I think is artificial, and it's really nothing. Every day, I mean, to me, every day is the same. Every day is the same goal, that I just want to be better today than I was yesterday. Because what's the significance of January 1st? We all kind of give it too much sentimentality about.
We give it a lot of weight.
Yeah, we give too much weight to January 1st.
Yeah.
It's an artificial timeline that, okay, January 1st, we all reevaluate our goals and see what we want to do for the rest of the year. No, evaluating our goal and it should be an everyday thing, right?
Right.
It's not a January 1st thing. So all year long, you
just forgot.
procrastinate and don't do anything of essence. And then come January 1st or December 31st, you will start deciding, what do I want to do now for January 1st?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So every day is a journey, and every day is just a journey to be better than I was yesterday. I mean, I know I'm very simplistic, but I said this in the previous episode. The most successful businesses in America are the ones who keep things simple.
Super simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I say, okay, for 2025, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and A, B, and C, and and then by when it comes to when you get to March 1st, you already forgot what you want to do, right? It's like we talked about during our last pickleball tournament, right? That when we beat you, remember that?
How can I forget it?
Yeah, you'll never forget that, and you'll never live that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I remember I was telling you that my strategy was simple: hit hard and hit harder, hit fast and hit faster. Just attack, right? That's my simple strategy.
Got it.
And you and Matt were talking about, okay, we're gonna stack up here, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, right? It's hard when you're actually playing.
Yeah.
There's no time.
Right. Yeah, I like the comments you made about the speed. Right. If you had this detailed plan and then all of a sudden speed comes in and wrecks the plan, meaning things have changed and you don't have
adjust.
Yeah. You don't have a background to adjust with that.
Yeah.
So keeping it simple, maybe more high level, allows for flexibility in the details, but still maintaining that overall outcome that you intend.
Yes. And so like I said, like staying in the moment, right? So like right now we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to say.
Right.
So if I'm stuck in thinking about what I'm going to say next, I won't be able to focus on what you're saying. And therefore I won't be able to say anything meaningful.
Yeah.
So same thing with life, right? With say business. The most important thing for me is staying in the moment, because the most important thing in anything we do, business, personal life, sports, anything, is staying in the moment, because it's only the present moment that you have the power to alter the course.
Right.
Right.
It's true. Yeah.
So, okay, let's say pickleball, for example. or tennis. The point is over. Even if I dwell on that, I cannot undo
Can't
it.
change it. Yeah. It's
And
gone.
then worrying about whether I'm going to win or lose if I'm down 0-40 in tennis. Okay, if I'm going to start worrying about, okay, I'm about to lose or it's going to get tough, I'm thinking about the future that I cannot fix.
Yeah.
And then I miss the ball because I'm not looking at the ball because my mind is thinking
Elsewhere.
about the end result of the game.
Yeah.
Same thing with business. Every day in business, I mean, you have your own business, I have my own business. Every day in business, you're presented with different challenges. You can't even predict what challenges are going to come up tomorrow,
Yeah.
right?
Nope. Yeah.
And you can't, to some degree, you can plan,
Sure.
have a general idea of what the plan is, but daily fires that I put out at work, I can't predict what fire I'm going to put out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
the main thing is staying in the moment, and if you recognize a problem or a crisis, deal with it. If there's a fire, put it out, put it out, put it out. Address each crisis as they come.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
Yeah.
obviously, like in business, we always have a short-term plan, a medium-term plan, and the long-term plan. That's just a general outline of what the goal is. But to get to the short term are these little fires that you have to put out to get to the short-term goal.
Yeah.
Right? And then these short-term goals, you have to achieve these short-term goals to get to the medium-term goal. I mean, you set these goals as a general guideline or parameters for you to aim for,
Yeah.
but then it's the steps that you take that are important, because if your eyes can be fixated on the long-term goal, but if you're not able to address the everyday fires that you have to put out or the short-term goals that you have to reach,
Yeah.
then you will never get to the long-term goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I've been what came up for me when I was when you were speaking was I'm oriented around age 60. So biologically things break down, right? And so my speculation is that I want to live as long as possible, but my intention is that by the age of 60 to have earned, saved, and invested enough money where if I don't want to work, I don't have to. Or if I'm forced biologically to not work, like let's say I'm not capable for whatever reason, that I have the retirement set up that I could take care of that. Now, that doesn't take away from me living in the moment, but what it does is it gives me a path or a trajectory where I can anticipate earning, saving, and investing specific amounts to what I consider to be a good life to live.
Okay, well, so again, the nice thing about this podcast is you're Mr. Young Guy.
Yeah,
and
you got the experience.
I'm Mr. Experienced Guy, not old guy, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I think very differently as far as that. So it goes without saying that we all want to succeed in life and be prepared as best as we can and be successful. That's a given. Most, if not all, want that, right? Okay, so like I told you earlier when I was talking to you about my day, I said when I told you about that doctor questioning me whether I got his patient scheduled or not, I said, well, I know I did because I trust the process. My team knows we have a process of doing things so that I am confident that it was done. I mean,
Right.
of course, you have to make allowances for some
Hiccup or breakdown.
hiccups
whatever.
that
Sure.
was unexpected or just oversight, right? Okay, so the same thing with how I approach life. I always have a system. I have a process that I follow. So what is that?
Yeah.
So for example, you want to retire at age 60 and have enough saved up for a comfortable retirement. Okay? Well, I do too. I don't set an age, but I just, in general, every day, everything I do is geared towards that.
Right. Okay.
So then how do I approach that? So I follow certain principles in life.
Okay.
So number one, work hard. Every opportunity I have, don't waste time, and work hard. That's why I don't sleep. No, that's wrong. Okay, I don't.
He does, but
I don't
he
sleep
sleeps
enough.
with one eye open.
I don't sleep enough, but I should sleep more, and I'm trying to. But I don't want to waste time.
Yeah. You're typing while sleeping.
Yeah. Every, which is possibly one of my difficulties about my way, is that every minute of my life is occupied.
Right.
I know some people don't agree with me. Some people would have time to sit there and watch TV and relax, but I just find
joy in other
and
things.
pleasure
Yeah.
in occupying every minute of my life. I don't have much allowances, for idle time.
Right.
It's good and bad, okay, but that's how I like it. So work hard is one of the process that I follow. Work hard. Don't waste time. Work hard. Do the best you can in everything that comes your way. That's a rule.
Yeah.
So everything I do, I overdo it, right?
Yeah.
Because I've told you, anything that's worth doing is worth overdoing. So any task you give me, I'm gonna overdo it. Sometimes it drives my wife crazy, but that's just me.
Right.
Because if it's not worth my time, if it's not worth overdoing, it's not worth my time. Like this podcast, right?
Yeah.
I told you I spent 2.5 days editing those little videos. I try to learn how to create videos and stuff for
like a reel.
For the reel, for posting on social media and stuff.
Right.
I mean, it took me 2.5 days to learn. I have no background. I have no training. I learned it on my own.
Yeah.
But if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. 2.5 days.
Yeah. Working it.
During the snowstorm break that I could be just sitting down and chilling out, right?
Right.
But I enjoy it, because I'm doing this for a higher purpose.
Yeah.
Right? We're doing this, with our ministry as the part of our purpose. So
of course.
It's worth doing,
Yeah.
Okay, so work hard, don't waste time, and, do your best in everything. And then number 2 is I don't waste money and don't overspend. Spend within my means.
Yeah.
Right? And so whatever I do, so business wise, my dad always says a penny saved is a penny earned. Right? So if for example in our company, I pick up paper clips that employees just drop on the floor. It's a paper clip. I know it's worth 0.001 cents. Right? Hey, that's
probably make more money not picking it up than if you did pick it up.
Yeah. I mean, if I don't waste 20 paper clips, I would have saved some money.
Right.
It all adds up over the years.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
White paper. Sometimes people just keep making copies and then throw it away. Those are wasted money.
Yeah.
If I can, so I try to talk to our employees and help them understand that my company is your company. If you want us to succeed, if you want to have a good job and good pay, help us succeed and you will benefit from our success.
Yeah.
So help us save that piece of paper. Help us save that paper clip.
It sounds like you're setting a standard of conduct for everybody.
Or making them understand the value of money, right?
Yeah.
Because a penny saved is a penny earned.
Right.
So that's...
Yeah. That's good. What's coming up for me is like, when people are not the owner of something, oftentimes they can be wasteful because it does, like, their paycheck is still the same every 2 weeks. Like, they don't experience any breakdown by being wasteful.
And it's easy to spend other people's money.
Yeah.
But if it's your money, if it's coming out of your paycheck, I'm sure people are going to save it.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next principle I apply to myself is dare to dream. Never be afraid of losing. Never be afraid of failure. I always say, the only thing we need to fear is fear itself. I mean, that's not original quote. I read that somewhere. But never fear. Take courage. Dare to dream. Dare to do things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid that you might fail. Just do it. Like I told you, I never lose. I only learn. Yeah. I either win or I learn.
So I want to maybe go in a little deeper on that. There is for me, sometimes I notice when I do take a risk and maybe I do fall into, I'm in fear of a situation, I become very critical of myself, right? It becomes like very judgmental about performance, about whatever it is, right? And that can rob my mentality from dreaming.
Yeah.
Like how can you dream if you're full of fear?
Yes.
Right. So this is why that question was so important, is like my intention every single day is to live a good life. Mm-hmm. And I speculate to some degree or another, like if Chris from 2018 was looking at Chris today, he'd be like, dude, this guy's living the dream. But Chris today knows Chris's potential and says, if I be better every single day, my life can look way better in 6 years from now. Mm-hmm. So with the fear, in coping with that and in, let's say, rapid change, mm-hmm. How does one maintain that dreaming big creativity in the midst of these perceived failures or learning and breakdowns?
So it's trusting the process. Okay. So these principles that I mentioned, you have to trust the process that it's going to work out, right? So if you work hard every single day, if you do the best you can with whatever you do, if you take courage and do what you need to do and not be stifled because of your fear of losing, and so how can you lose if you follow these principles? Yeah. Right? But I have to add a few more things there. Yeah. Faith, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have faith, what happens is you rely on your own wisdom and your own strength. And then if you don't have faith, you develop arrogance. And arrogance will lead to your demise. Right,
like thinking you're better than you are.
You're thinking better than you are. So if you have faith, you're more humble.
Got it.
If you have faith, you are more likely to be resilient, because when things don't go well, you trust in God's will and God's plan for you and God's love for you. And so you're more likely to be resilient and keep going, right? Yeah. And if you have faith, whenever you're in doubt, you have somebody to pray to and seek guidance, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So these are the key elements of how to succeed. And I mean, I consider myself relatively successful. I'm very content with my life. I think I've achieved most of what I want to do in life, and I just apply the same principles. I don't have a complex strategy. I know this is not what my financial advisor wants to hear, but okay. But for example, investments. Right. Mm-hmm. I don't overinvest. I don't spend beyond my means. That's one of my principles, right?
Right.
I don't overspend. I spend within my means. I also want to stay humble. I don't want to invest in something just to show off and let people know, oh, I'm doing well financially. No, I don't do it for that. I do it for my financial security and my family's financial security. And I don't back out of good deals. If there's a good deal, I may be uncomfortable, but I'm going to learn to be comfortable by preparation. I will do my homework and prepare and do my research, so I will be comfortable with the investment I'm about to do. And I mean, I'll give you an example. When so our clinic, right? So Premier Gastroenterology. So now we went from we made a decision to leave our previous group to start our own group. I did that at age 50. And so my friend said, "What are you thinking?"
Right. In the midst of this like taking care of your family and
Yes.
like
I have
you
a
can't
stable
really,
job.
yeah.
I have a stable, not job. I mean, I was a partner in that previous practice. I have a stable job, stable income. And then suddenly I said, my partners and I will be venturing in this new adventure to start our own gastroenterology specific practice.
Yeah.
So we went from having a stable job to, okay, where are we gonna build a surgical center? And what do we do in the meantime while we're building this surgical center? And then where are we gonna get money to live while we're waiting to reestablish, right?
Yeah.
And then we went from not having debt to having a huge debt to start a business. I mean, how crazy can that be?
Especially at 50.
Yeah, but you know what? I can choose stability and stay at that previous practice and deal with all the complaints that we've been complaining and not getting any solution and just tolerate it, or make a change because you're not getting what you want to achieve. So we have bigger dreams. We want we want to achieve certain things. So you can't just sit there and keep saying, I want to achieve this, but you don't have the courage
to stand up and go for
to
it.
do it,
Yeah.
to go for it, right? I mean, if you want something, then go for it. Take a
Wise
chance, put in all the effort, and just do it.
Go by those principles.
Yeah. Because I don't like to hear people complain, but don't do anything about what they're complaining about.
Yes.
So if you're not satisfied with your current situation, then do something about it. Don't say, oh, I'm 50, I shouldn't do anything. So what? You're just waiting for
You're just gonna die? What are you waiting
for the time the end of your life?
Right.
Yeah, just wait. Oh, I'm 50, I'm about to die. I don't want to do anything. I'm just gonna sit at home. Is that what you're gonna do? Even if I were 70 years old and there's something that needs to be done, I mean, you live your life to the fullest until it's over.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so you asked me, right? So this weekend we were chatting about how I'm still learning new things. So I did this audio podcast on my own, and I tried to put music into it. So I learned to get this app to help me create music background with the material that I created. And yeah, I'm learning new things. I'm excited to learn new things.
Yeah.
When you learn new things, you feel good, you feel alive.
Right.
And it's growth, right? I mean, yeah, who cares? It's just putting music onto stuff that I created, materials. I'm writing a book, and so I created materials, contents. I just want to add music to it, to add spice to it when I send it to people to listen to, or I put it on my website. Please check out my website, TerrenceAngtuacoMD.com. so anyway, I post on my website. I'm proud of my work. I know it's amateur. It's it's much to be desired there, but it's good enough. I impress a few people. Even my kids were impressed about what I did. You know? So
well, the beauty is you're creating and expressing yourself, and you're going for it. Like, you had it in your mind that I want to produce this, so you did.
Yes,
like,
and I want to learn
Exhibit
new things.
A of what you're practicing, what you preach, basically.
Yes. And so in this modern day and age, right? So I'm learning social media. I'm learning digital marketing. I'm learning metadata and all these things. I learned that I studied that on my own and talking to people, and just I want to learn new things. I don't want to say, oh, I'm 50. I'm 56 now. I don't want to say, oh, I'm 56, I should just stay with a traditional way of marketing and stuff. No, you're going to fall behind,
Yeah.
I mean, I still want to keep up with the times. I study stuff. So, I mean, I even bought some MBA books because I want to study. I'm a sort of a businessman now, so I want to study some business concepts and principles. I learned how to read spreadsheets and all these things. I mean, I do that, try to do that on my own. And it's always good to learn, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So those are the process that I trust. That's why I don't set New Year's resolution.
I see.
So, okay, people set New Year's resolution to lose weight. I don't. I just try to eat well every day. I try to exercise every day. I weigh myself every day. I do stuff so that I don't gain 10 pounds and then have to spend January 1st thinking I'm going to try to lose that 10 pounds. You know, I just do it on a daily basis. So it's like persistent progress.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like on the weight thing, for example, with me is, you know, I weigh myself every day and I create an average. So I know, so
because
then
you'll fluctuate 3-4 pounds every day.
And so I recognize, dude, you're up 5 or 6 pounds.
Yeah.
Then I say, what happened? Almost exclusively, you've been on a trip for an extended period of time. You've been eating a lot.
Yeah.
And then now you're returning home. Your regimen was not the same.
Yes.
So yeah, you're gonna gain weight. So since I didn't create a routine there to mimic home, these are the outcomes. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then I have practices for myself to bring myself back into my normal average, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's like I just anyway.
So I brought up the weight issue not because
it's just a common New Year's resolution.
It's an example, you know.
Yeah.
But weight management is an example, like business and goals and everything. You know, we all have weight goals. So yes, I do weigh myself every day for the exact same reason as you. So if I see that I'm trending up, it's better to nip it in the bud when I've gained 5 pounds and wait till I gain 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And not weigh myself and realize, I gained 20 pounds. Then it's trying to lose 20 pounds. It's easier to lose the 5 pounds than to lose the 20 pounds. You know? And then it always sends a panic signal to you when you've gained 5 pounds consistently, your average.
When you're used to.
Then it would tell me, okay, let's reevaluate how I'm eating. Okay, too much ice cream, you know, or too much hamburger. So then it triggers a response for you to change before it's too late, right? It's like smoking. If you wait 10 years before you decide to stop smoking, well, that's kind of much difficult because you already have damage that you cannot undo. And then you've already, you've accumulated a lot of damages.
Yeah, well, you build like comforts and practices around that. Like I noticed that most people that smoke, what smoking does for people is not that they want to go smoke, but it's a time to relax.
Right.
It's a time where they actually take a deep breath because they're inhaling the smoke.
Exactly.
And they don't associate that. They just want to breathe, but they find breathing through smoking.
That's correct. It's am I gonna say this or not? But many years ago, I had ventured into smoking, and I would smoke before I play tennis. Many years ago. And you're right. It's really not that it's not that it relaxed me. It was just the breathing in and breathing out that relaxed me. But anyway, I've not smoked. I didn't smoke for a long time. It was just an experiment thing, but don't smoke. Okay?
Well, I think like as part of that, like, you know, with the weight thing, the understanding, you have a limit, right? A 5 pound limit. Okay. Alarm bells are going off. But that limit and the understanding shows up when you weigh yourself consistently. And I'm not saying go weigh yourself consistently. What I am saying is...
No, you should weigh consistently.
Okay. Well, but what I'm saying is when you put intention on something, intention and attention, both of them. But when you have that and then you do that in all of the areas of your life, you start to really refine the stories you tell yourself about that, right?
Yeah.
And this is where I go with like... My expectation thing is, you know, I start to notice that if I'm breaking down in an area and I may be stumped and not know how to maybe figure that out, maybe I can't articulate it. I'll revert to a distraction to cope with the situation. And what I found is that, and in my own ways, I have a 5-pound. I'm like, oh, distraction. Like you're overweight in distraction.
Yeah.
You need to do more cardio. You need to go exercise away from distraction, right? And that's like being present, sitting with no music, nothing, blah blah. So like what I'm getting at is when we begin to put intention on these things in our lives, and it's real. We're not checked out and in someone else's life. We're tuned into our own life. Those things really make a difference because you start to, like for me in food, like I know my habits and patterns around food.
Yeah.
Same with like the weight thing.
Yeah.
So it's taken me years to figure that out. Like I understand what makes me inflamed. Like why would I do this? I know I'm overcompensating when I eat a lot of sugar because I'm like, this is again the coping thing. So I think there's tremendous value in putting intention on those things to bring joy to your life.
Yeah. So what you're saying essentially is there has to be self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
So weighing yourself daily is also a form of self-awareness, right? So you're aware that you're gaining weight, and then it makes you reflect. So when you sometimes we want to distract ourselves too much with music, with TV and everything because we're uncomfortable with silence.
Yeah.
But sometimes regular silence is important. Setting a regular time to ponder and reflect and meditate is very important because it helps you become more self-aware. You're self-aware that, okay, I am indulging in sweets when I'm stressed or when I'm sad, or whatever, So in life, in business, in any endeavor that you do, that's the important thing about being present. Being in the present is very important because when you're in the present, that's when you are fully aware of what's going on. Okay. For example, if I am currently upset, I'm gonna just stay in the present and be aware of what I am currently doing. Are my shoulder muscles getting tight? Am I doing this? Or am I doing certain movements because I'm stressed? So if I'm being in the present, then I become aware of what I'm doing, and then I can consciously tell myself to relax. So talking about like business stuff, you're doing business and you're doing this negative self-talk.
Yeah.
If you are in the present, you become aware of the noise in your head, right? Our mind controls everything. And so if you are self-aware and you are present in the moment, you are aware about these noises in your head that keeps talking to you, the self-talk, the negative self-talk. You're aware of that. And then you realize, why am I doing that? You said about being too critical of yourself, right?
Yes.
Or judging yourself, blaming yourself. All these are the negative self-talk. So when you're in the present, you become aware of that. And you become aware enough to shut it off.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have to be we have to be aware of our own consciousness, right? Our consciousness should be in the present, not in that recurring loop in your head that keeps going,
Yeah.
So
it's distracting.
Yeah, and it's dragging you down because you become what you think.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And then you keep thinking about something, then you start speaking it. And you keep speaking it, then you start acting it out.
Right.
And so if you're thinking failure you're thinking defeat, if you have a defeatist mindset,
Yep.
then you keep speaking defeatist mindset, oh, I'm such a failure. I'm no good at this.
Yeah.
And then you keep saying, oh, I'm no good at this. I'm no good at this. Oh, I'm not really good at this. And then you start acting.
You believe it.
Yeah, you start to believe it.
Yeah.
And then your actions will be, I'm not going to do this.
They line up with it.
I'm not going to do this anymore because I'm not good at this. And then you don't do it. And then you fail. So that's why, back to that whole topic about how to live a good life, it's developing daily habits, right? It's a journey. It's like every step you take should be taken consciously. So enjoy this journey. Be mindful of every step that you take, and every step that you take, if you have an opportunity to do something, work hard. Put all your effort in whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah, right.
That's the everyday step. And then an opportunity comes here, and so opportunity for you to invest, which based on your objective assessment, it's a good investment, but you have fear. So don't be afraid. If it's the right thing to do it afraid. There's a book called Do It Afraid.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I read somewhere that you do it afraid. Because if you're going to wait till you're comfortable before you do it, you will never achieve anything.
Yeah. That fear will always be there.
Right. But then, it's what do you call this? It has to be intentional, right? You do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you feel like doing it.
Right.
Right? It's a discretionary effort.
Yeah.
Right? So it's discretionary effort. If you only do things when it's within your comfort zone, then you'll never succeed. You always have to be uncomfortable. If you're comfortable about something, you're not trying hard enough. Okay. I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable doing YouTube, creating videos, uploading stuff. I was worried I was going to mess this whole podcast up, but I was clicking on stuff and I go, oh, better not mess up. But you know what? I want to learn. What's the worst that can happen? I'll delete all this podcast video.
Yeah.
We'll record again.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so do it afraid. Dare to do things and allow yourself to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Dare to lose and dare to make mistakes and dare to fail.
Yeah.
Right? Remember whenever we play pickleball, I always say, play to win.
Yeah.
Play to win and don't play not to lose.
Yeah.
Like I always tell you, right? I'd rather hit the ball out than hesitate and hit the ball to the net.
Right.
Just hit it.
Yeah.
Just hit it. Hit it out. I don't care. Just hit it.
Yeah.
Because if you start being afraid, you will fail.
Yeah, and I also along with that, I really appreciate the strategy that you employ at times with that of like, you hit the ball hard, it goes out, it goes out, it goes out. But when you start hitting that ball in, they're defensive. Like they're playing more to not lose, and you're continuing the play to win. Yeah. And you don't change the mindset.
So I told you about, so I played that open division thing with my coach, with Raul, right? Yeah. And we played against higher level players. And I was the lowest rated player in that whole tournament. And I was the oldest also.
Yeah. Okay. They didn't have the age group thing.
So Raul just told me, hit hard and hit it harder. I told you for 2 weeks, my training was to hit the ball to the fence. I mean, I was hitting, he wants me to purposely hit the wall to the fence. Wow. Everything was out.
Yeah.
And his rationale was, once a tournament sets in, you're going to be nervous, you're going to be tight, you're not going to be able to hit as long as you want to, and it's going to go in.
Interesting.
And so if you practice hitting it in, when you get nervous and you get tight, you're going to hit it to the net.
Oh, wow.
Right? So for 2 weeks, all he made me do was hit the ball to the fence. And then his other... so my coach, Raul...
That's such a good strategy.
It's a shout out to Raul, right?
Yeah, shout out to Raul.
So his strategy is hit the ball as hard as you can, and these players are going to get tempted to take the ball. Even if it's going to go out, they're going to take the ball, and they're going to end up hitting the ball out because you hit it so hard that they're going to...
It's clever.
Yeah, because...
It's close enough that they're
high-level players. They're aggressive. They know that they can take the ball. They'll take it when you're hitting it so hard, and there's a better chance for it to go out rather than hit it soft and then they'll kill you.
Right.
Then you have no chance.
Then they're set up for their shot.
Yeah. So whenever I'm running to get a defensive ball, I developed that instinct now. I developed that instinct because he trained me to be a monster.
Yeah.
When I get the defensive ball, I just hit it as hard as I can.
Yeah.
And hope that they take the ball or it just goes in. So, but anyway, but that's a life lesson, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
You don't hesitate when you're dealt with crisis. You just go for it. Just address it.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, like I was talking to you and Matt. We're doing this group text, right? I said we're talking about my strategy about triple aggression.
Yeah.
So that's my patented pickleball strategy.
Yeah.
Triple aggression, right?
Right.
I mean, so I said that if I'm ahead, I want to stay ahead. If I'm down, I want to keep fighting to get ahead.
Right.
And so when I'm down, I always tell you guys, come on, step it up, triple aggression, triple the aggression. But if you just triple the aggression and just hit as hard as you can, but don't have a plan where you're hitting it to, that's recklessness. That's not being smartly aggressive. Like I told you, I aim for the highest percentage area of the court, but I hit as hard as I can. So I have a reasonable chance of getting the ball in. So it's not a reckless aggression.
Right.
It's aggression. I'm taking a lot of risk, but I'm hitting a larger target that gives me the highest possibility of keeping the ball in with as much aggression as
you can
applied.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm not espousing for recklessness. It has to be a rational kind of aggressiveness. Same thing like investments in business. You want to be aggressive in investing, but you don't want to be reckless.
Right.
If you don't have enough funds, or if you're already deep in debt and you invest aggressively, that's not smart, right? If you don't have any reserves to fall back on if the investment fails,
right,
that's recklessness.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, we all... debt is a good thing if you use debt to help you make money, right?
Yeah, right.
If you use other people's money to help you make money, that's wisdom. But if you borrow money for the sake of borrowing money so that you can spend recklessly, that's unwise.
Right.
That's recklessness.
Yeah. There's limits, and you set these limits up as part of the strategy,
right,
is how I'm listening.
Yeah, my strategy, so as far as borrowing money or acquiring, incurring debt, my basic principle there is I will incur debt if the debt is helping me make money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to incur debt for me to
just have
to live a luxurious life, just to spend it away,
Right.
That's throwing money away.
Yeah.
So borrowing money to just spend on something I can't afford, that's recklessness. That's irresponsibility, right? But if I borrow money to help me make money, to help me start a business or invest in something
that can produce a return,
then that's a good kind of debt.
Yeah.
Right.
But it has to produce that return.
Right. There has to be return for the debt.
Yeah.
So it's a temporary. It's using other people's money to make money. You never use your own money to make money, right?
Yeah.
That's a basic principle.
Yep. Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Robert Kiyosaki, and that's what he says. You use other people's money to make money.
Yeah.
And
he says if you use your own money, it's lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't make sense to use up your own money.
Yeah, I take a similar approach with my investment strategies and in my business. I use that to make money. Like I use other people's money to make money.
Yeah.
And have I found strategies that work well in doing that. And so that's what I exploit when I do business.
Yeah.
And I found it to be pretty good.
And also it's sometimes it's not just borrowing money to make money. Sometimes it's borrowing money to create leverage for you that will help you make money.
Yeah.
With the leverage that you've gain. You create
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think about, so money can mean many things, and like currency is a form of money. Money can also be value and help. And I also think a lot about identities that you build in the marketplace. Like that in a way could be a form of money. Because in a way,
not
like
money, but value, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You create value.
So it'd be like your reputation drives people to bring you, let's say, clients as an example.
Yeah.
Right. In a way, that reputation produces money for you.
Yeah.
In some way. So it's kind of like, if you need to produce or use money to produce that identity, that may be a advised strategy.
Yeah.
It depends on your situation and outcomes.
Yeah, it's like marketing. If you spend money on marketing to build your brand, you may not see the returns right away, but you're investing in your brand so that when people see your brand, it connotes quality, class, success. Then people will gravitate towards your brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to set yourself up to be an authority in something, then it takes time to invest in your reputation. You do things for free to develop the following, right? Mm-hmm. And that's money in the future.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm not part of the business formally anymore, but I have been part of a real estate business in the past, and we spent thousands of dollars on digital marketing to build up SEO, search engine optimization. And we were investing basically every single month, and we didn't see the return. This was years ago. It's like 5 years ago. But that investment has not stopped since we started. And now there's in a way, you don't have to pay much for those leads, those people, because we built that brand. So it's in a way it's now producing or, providing the return, but that took years to invest.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, I listen to, I'm a part of a network of real estate investors. So some of them are newer, and so I'm listening to these stories, right? Yeah. They're like, man, I invested for 3 months and it didn't.
3 months.
And it didn't produce the return. And I'm like, well, there's a different game being played where we were committed to, we didn't care if it took 10 years.
Yeah. We
just knew that we wanted to be the authority in our area, and that was the way to do it.
Yeah. So it's like teeth whitening. If you go to those 1 hour teeth whitening, your teeth will stay white only for a few days. If you do those teeth whitening that takes months of putting that whatever chemical on, it lasts longer. The same thing with success. People who are not willing to delay their gratification will want to do those short-term quick fixes, quick gains that don't last, right? But people who invest for the long haul are likely to be more successful in the long haul, right?
Yeah. So this is good. I'm glad we got to this. So investing for the long haul.
Yeah.
And delayed gratification. So in the context of living a good life, these things, you have to make sacrifices and sacred choices, so to speak, to not have fun in the moment per se, and maybe, put in extra time, energy, effort, and perceptively lose that fun in the moment.
Yeah.
Right. But that sets you up for a lifetime of joy or peace or happiness, because this goes back to my age 60 thing. My intentions in the work that I do in my investments is because when I'm age 60, I don't want to have to worry oh shoot, where's my retirement going to come from? Yeah. I've invested in that because I had the foresight at 30 to say, I'm going to delay that, and I'm going to make this investment so that I set myself up for success when I'm 60. Because my biggest fear, no joke, is I'm 90. It's me and my wife. I'm sitting at home immobile because I need a hip replacement.
Yeah.
And I don't have the money to do that. I do not want, but at the same time, it's hard to, that's 60 years from now. It's hard. I don't even know if I'll be here, but it's hard to have that concern in my mind when I'm 30. I want to go hit the pickleball as hard as I can. I want to play for 10 hours, I want to be rough on my hips, so to speak. Anyway, so, the like living a good life and being able to delay gratification or have longer time horizons, how does one make that maybe more meaningful? Like you have that experience of you were 30 and you had intentions, and now you have a family and have been established for years.
Okay, so it's funny that you brought that up. I was going to ask you what led you to bring this up.
Yeah.
But anyway, I actually had this exact conversation with my daughter this weekend. Right?
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So my daughter was not wanting to go to med school because she said it's a very long process, blah, blah, blah. And it's a lot of hard work. It's too many exams, nonstop exams, blah, blah, blah. So this is what I told her. I said, this is the perfect example of delayed gratification. So I finished high school. I went to college like all my high school friends did. But then after college, most of my friends who went to college and didn't go to postgraduate school or didn't go to med school, they were in the labor market and they were making tons of money. And I'm this poor medical student that's no summer break and just studying all the time and no money, asking my parents for money and eating cheese pizza.
Yeah. To survive. Yeah.
And then your friends are all making large amounts of money and taking you out to eat and all these nice things, and you feel like a loser. But obviously I'm investing in the future. Yeah. Because I have to acquire my education. So after college, I have to do 4 years of med school. I have to do 3 years of residency. I have to do 3 years of fellowship. And then after that, whatever. It's a long process. But I mean, now I'm living a pretty comfortable life. While I'm young, I told my kids, while you're young, sweat it out, because you don't want to be trying to have short-term gains and start making money early, and then at age 50 realizing I have to work 2 jobs to
survive,
feed my family.
Yeah.
Right? It's better to work hard up front when you're still young and able, rather than have to be forced to work hard when you're older.
Yeah.
At least I have the option whether I want to work hard now or not. Right? Imagine if I was in a situation where I'm forced to take 2 jobs to make ends meet at age 50 or 60. That would be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, well, so to go back to the creativity thing, or the like dream big, like there wouldn't be much space for that, because you're confronted like with survival.
Yes,
all the time.
You're distracted by the immediate needs.
Yes,
that you don't have time to dream for bigger dreams.
Right.
And so you're hampered because of that. So I used to be a professor, and I would tell this was my favorite line to my students. I would say, and one of them is my partner now. So I would always say, sweat during training. How do I say it? The more you sweat in training, the less you sweat in practice. Right?
And in practice, you mean
practice, like
being
being a real doctor now.
Right. Okay.
Like when you're in training, work as hard as you can, take the most difficult cases, the most difficult patients, and so that when you're in practice, in medical practice, when you see a difficult case or have a difficult patient, you're not going to be nervous because you have all the training already.
Right.
So while you're young, do all the training you can. In other words, so I would always tell my partner now, who was my student before, I said, when you get called to see a patient who's very sick, don't complain. And instead, you should tell the person asking you to see the patient, I am more than happy to see your patient. Because I said, now you're in training, you resent being called to see a patient, but when you're a real doctor now, you'll be very thankful somebody trusts you enough to call you to see their patient. Wow. Yeah. And so usually the most difficult patients nobody wants to see. Like for example, so I'm a liver subspecialist, and so one of the most difficult things that I do is when patients who have cirrhosis of the liver, they start throwing up blood. It's called variceal bleeding. So that's one of the most stressful part of my job. But when I was in training, every time there's somebody who has a variceal bleeding, I'm on it.
You're the
Call
guy.
me.
Yeah.
Call me. I'll be there. So now I do a lot of that because a lot of people don't want to do that because they're either not trained to do that or they don't want to deal with it. But to me, I take these cases because it's easy for me. It's high risk for most people. But if you're good at it, it's not, I'm not saying I'm super duper good, but what I'm saying is I've done I've done so much of it that it doesn't make me nervous. It takes a lot to make me nervous because I've done so much of it. So I'm confident in my skills, and I've seen a lot of different variations of that I'm comfortable, so I don't sweat in practice,
That's such a good microcosm for life.
Yes. So while you're young, work hard. Take on the difficult tasks because it's the difficult tasks that make you stronger and make you wiser. If you always run away from challenges, you will never be good. You'll never be good at anything.
It's hard to build momentum.
So you see, I read somewhere in one of the books that I've read, oak trees. There was an experiment where they grew an oak tree inside a glass chamber, devoid of wind and sun and rain and storm. After they removed the glass casing, the whole oak tree just collapsed. Right? Because the oak trees are strong because they get exposed to the heat, to the wind, to the elements of nature. And then they get exposed to low water supply when water is low.
They need to be resilient.
Deeper roots, and they're more sturdy.
Wow.
So if the oak tree wasn't exposed to the elements of nature, it wouldn't survive.
Dang.
So that's why when they took off the glass housing, the tree collapsed. So we are all stronger when we face adversity, because adversities and sufferings make us stronger. So remember I told you this story where one of my buddies questioned my upcoming book, right? So I have this upcoming book called Practicing the Habit of Being Happy, 6 Prescriptions for a Happier You. Okay? So my friend said, "You're writing a book on happiness? You're not the most happy person I know." So my answer to him was, "Oh yes, I am the best person to write this book, because I am not naturally optimistic and happy person. It took me many, many years to develop skills and strategies to overcome what's natural for me. I am not naturally optimistic and happy, but I can promise you I am more optimistic now, and I'm more happy now than I ever was. Because over the years, I've developed skills and coping strategies to deal with difficult situations. So yes, I am an expert in happiness. I can write. That's why I'm writing a book on happiness, because
It's
I've been through
counterintuitive.
so much,
Yeah.
and I've learned so much through my struggles. That's why I don't run away from challenges. I don't run away from difficulties. If I have situations where I have to face loneliness, betrayal, rejection, I welcome them now, because they are the ones that made me who I am today. And I'm happy today because of the level of enlightenment I have today compared to what I had, compared to my level of enlightenment 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's years of facing these challenges that made me gain wisdom and peace.
Yeah, it's like the counterintuitive thing, or maybe the distinction that I want to bring forth, is that happiness because you've experienced the challenges of unhappiness, or like going through adversity to be happy.
Right.
You know why, you can appreciate happiness, whereas someone who, like, if you're like the oak tree in the glass thing, you're always happy. Well, you would not know what sadness was. You wouldn't even be able to make a distinction of not being happy.
And you've not developed coping skills because you never had to cope.
Right.
So when suddenly you have to face difficulty, you don't have the skills to cope.
Yeah, the elements would take you out. You just fall down.
I was exposed to so much challenges that I've developed all these coping skills through the years.
Yeah.
So now I'm at peace because I'm confident. I'm confident that I can cope.
Yeah. In any situation.
Yeah, you can try to piss me off. Trust me, I can.
Like, I'm going to beat you in pickleball.
Yeah, I can handle that.
Yeah.
I can handle that. It doesn't bother me. Okay, yeah, I'll be mad for
You'll
a few
lose.
seconds, but
Yeah.
I can deal with that because I've been through that so many times.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me anymore. I know it's gonna pass.
Yeah, it's a really good. Like, joking aside, that's such a powerful approach to life that I think falls on deaf ears often with people, because we're bombarded with information and instant gratification, that we seek the happiness in the instant gratification in a way that if you can't receive that, or your life says, hey, we need you to cope in a new way, and you don't have those skills because you're so used to getting the happiness all the time, you're going to be left with despair or resignation to a situation. And one of the things, and this may be one of like why I'm so like structured, or I think about things like this, is because I don't want to have existential despair when I'm in my 50s or 60s, where I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't think about my life right now. I feel ill prepared to handle that. So to your point about working hard and going through things now, like, in my own ways, I'm doing my best to front load that with my current situations.
Remember last week, or was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Last week you were sick.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, remember we had dinner after the podcast recording.
Yep.
And I told you that one of my suggestions to you is to have more spontaneity.
Yes.
And I said, if you are more spontaneous, you will reach greater heights.
Mm-hmm.
So the analogy there is, so if I hit a tennis ball, if your shoulder is too tight, you can't hit the ball as hard. But when you're loose, you swing it like a lasso, like a whip, the ball will go faster and harder. So, if you just so you have to trust the process. So the way I would structure my strategy is, I build the elements that I need. I build the infrastructure, hard work, discipline, knowledge, everything. I build all these infrastructure, and I just trust the process that it's gonna work when it comes time.
Right.
It's like my tennis coach Raul. I mean, I learned a lot from that guy. So he always tells me, trust the process. So, okay, so we're about to play this tournament that I am playing beyond my skill level, and he tells me trust the process. Okay?
Yeah.
So he's right though. I
Yeah.
learned a lot from that. He just said, so can you imagine, okay? I'm the oldest and I'm the lowest rated player in that whole tournament. And we're going to be playing, and I'm playing with him, and I don't want to disappoint him. And I said, I keep asking him, are you sure you want to play with me? And then he just said to me, just trust the process. You trained all these years. And he said, I know you because I trained you. He said, nice. Just trust the process. So at that point you think, what do you mean trust the process?
Yeah.
Number one, I don't want to embarrass myself. Number two, I don't want to disappoint you. But he just said trust the process. I didn't really get it, but I just had to trust him that I should just trust the process, whatever that meant.
Yeah.
And so now I realize that. Now looking back, I realize he's right. I mean, I continue to train with him regularly, whether it's hot or cold, whatever. Whenever it's above 40 degrees, we train. And when it comes time to play or to meet the challenge, I just have to react. And whatever will just come out.
Yeah. Wow.
You cannot stop and think, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
No, all these years you prepared for this moment. Right?
Yeah.
So the bigger the challenge, the greater the reward. Right?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, this is the moment I've been waiting for. I mean, what are you training for?
Yeah. Right. Like
if there's nothing to train for,
there's no
what's the point? There's no motivation to train. So I train and train and train. So now a challenge falls on my lap, and he says, because he invited me to play with him, and so I go, oh no. And then he told me, just trust the process. So that's the same thing. You develop all these habits, all these skills, all the knowledge, so that when the time comes when you need it, it's there.
Yeah.
Right? That's why that my upcoming book is called Practicing the Habit of Being Happy. So I can write another book that says Practice the Habit of Being Successful. Right? Because there are principles that you have to make it a habit.
Yeah.
The habit of working hard, the habit of studying, the habit of discipline. You develop habits of success. And if it's to make it a habit, you have to practice it. So every day, every opportunity for you to practice not being afraid, take it, practice it. Every opportunity you have to practice to overdo something because it's worth doing, do it. Right?
Yeah.
Every day there's a moment, every day there's an opportunity to practice those skills. When you don't feel like doing this podcast because you're tired and you want to go home, practice the discipline of fulfilling your commitment. If we say we're going to do these podcasts, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Season 1, 10 episodes, we're going to do it. Right? Unless you're sick and I don't want to get your virus. That's why we skipped last week. But do it. These are opportunities to practice, like practicing the habit of being happy. There are habits that make you happy. I'm not going to reveal the contents of my next book, but these are happiness is a choice. And you have to practice certain habits so that it becomes second nature, so that it becomes you. So you become naturally happier because you've developed some good habits over time.
Yeah. It's good.
So
yeah, I resonate with that. So what I'm thinking about is so I'm reflecting on my own happiness.
Yeah.
Like, what practices do I practice to be happy?
Mm-hmm.
And I what I noticed for myself is the story that I have about, like, I'm developing my faith and trusting the process of, like, going through, learning. I'm beginning to notice, like, progress. I'm beginning to notice, like, oh, I actually hold that information, and it's the journey that is what's bringing me the happiness. It's not that there's this outcome that I have the outcome and now I'm happy, right? It's I'm choosing happiness along the way. And there was a moment you sent me a message one time. It was like after a first episode maybe, and my response to it was, "Oh, this is great! Like we knew this would be the case. This is like." We're par for the course. We're going to make changes. This is, blah, blah. And that is an approach that I love, because before, like, let's say years ago, my approach to that would have been, I'm bad, I'm wrong, because we have to make changes. I should have known better, and that wouldn't lead to any happiness. In fact, that would just it would be like, why would anyone want to be around that? Because it's not enjoyable. But instead, it's the joy of going through the process.
Yes.
And finding that the joy in it, rather than finding joy at the end of it when you have whatever the outcome is.
Yeah. So you brought out the issue about the podcast. My excitement and my joy in creating this is this whole process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
So we've never done this before. Nobody's teaching us. Nope. We're experimenting. We're learning as we go. And there are some things that we could be improving, but there's always something we could be improving. But
sure.
It's you and me collaborating and finding ways to be better, and you and me celebrating our small wins. If somebody writes us a nice comment or sends us a nice text that we inspire them, we celebrate our small victories. Mm-hmm. And we also enjoy learning new things, and that's the fun part of this.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the goal here is to inspire people, encourage people, transform people's lives, but you don't necessarily see that. Some people may not reach out to us and say, hey, you guys did a good job. Right. So if you're doing something and waiting for people to give you a pat on the back and say you've done a good job, then you'll never be happy, because you're depending on other people for your happiness. If your happiness is because somebody else tells you that you're doing a good job, then you're likely not going to be happy, because you can't control what other people will do or not do. You cannot control what people will say or not say. Mm-hmm. But the only thing we can control is doing our best and knowing what we're doing this for. So, like I told you, everything that I do for my ministry work, so I told you, right? I write books. Even if nobody reads it, or even if one person reads my book, I'm okay.
Yeah,
because I'm not writing it to get the applause.
Right.
I mean, I don't mind the applause,
sure.
but I'm not writing it for the applause. So I'm writing it because I want to serve God in this manner. So whether you congratulate me or not, whether you read my book or not, whether you tell me I'm doing a good job or not, it doesn't matter. I've told God this before. I said, you know what? You want me to write a book? I felt called to write a book. And I felt you wanting me to write the book. So I've written the book. Now it's up to you. It's up to you to market this book.
Yeah.
It's up to you to put the book in people's hands that you feel needs the book in their hands. And so like this podcast, we can say all the words we want to say. We can say the right things that we want to say, but it's only God who will make it resonate to certain people who needs to hear the message.
Right.
Right? So if it doesn't resonate with anyone, it's not our problem.
Yeah.
That's God's problem. Right?
Yeah.
It's not
Cast your cares
it's
upon
not
him.
our problem.
Yeah.
We've done the human effort we can. How people hear what we say, it's up to God. It's amazing how people have reached out to me and say, "Oh, I heard you talk about that thing, and it meant this to me." And then somebody else talks about the same thing, and it meant different things to them.
Right.
So that's God.
It's beautiful.
Right? So God uses what we do or the words that we say to affect people the way God wants it to affect those people in particular. Right?
Yeah, right.
Just because I mean it this way, I make a statement and I mean it this way, doesn't mean everybody took it the same way. It's like the apostles when the Holy Spirit entered the room after Jesus rose
Acts
from the
chapter
dead.
2. Yeah.
They all heard
They're speaking in their own tongues.
Paul in in their own languages.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
So that's the same thing here. It's like we're speaking in tongues and people might hear it differently. And I told you, right? I got this text, which was very inspiring. And my friend said that one of his friends who's of a different religion listened to our podcast and actually found it very inspiring. I mean, okay.
I love that.
So it has nothing to do with you and me, what we say. It's how God...
How it resonates with people.
Yeah, how God wants to use the message for specific people.
Yeah.
Right? So
I love that.
The whole thing about good life and success and everything, it's just, the bottom line is nobody can expect more than your best from you. Neither should you expect more than your best from yourself.
Right.
Right? Think about that.
Yeah.
For us, we just do our best because that's all you can do. What are your options?
Yeah.
You can't do more than your best because that's all you've got.
Right.
Right?
It's true.
And then you should not demand from yourself more than your best because that's all you can give. You've given all you could give.
Yeah.
And other people shouldn't expect from you more than your best. Neither should you expect from other people more than their best.
Right.
Right? But our best is relative. So today my best can be up to here.
Yeah.
But with time and with study and reflection, my best could be elevated to here. Right? So as I know better, I do better. Like Maya Angelou said. Maya Angelou is a poet from Arkansas. That's very wise words. As we know better, we do better. So don't judge yourself when your knowledge base is here. You judge yourself based on your knowledge here.
Where you're currently at.
Yeah, where you're currently at. Now, if your knowledge base had grown here and you're performing here, then you're doing a bad job.
I see. Yeah. And that's, so that this brings back to self-awareness, right? Of noticing, like, did I give my best there? Maybe I had a little left in the tank I could have given.
Yeah.
And then having the discernment to say, all right, next time I'm not, like, my intention is to give more because I have more in the tank, so to speak. And I think that it's like that approach to life of giving your best in all situations is like, it's like loving yourself or loving thy neighbor as thyself. If you can be unconditional towards other people, like that is like where ultimately I believe God wants us to be, is like we want to love other people. And in doing so is you're trusting that people will give their best, and you're not loving people in a way where you're coddling them. You're loving them in a way where you're making assessments of what their best is and you're bringing that out of them. You're helping to bring that forth. And it's not done in a way of like, you're bad and wrong because you're not at your best. It's done in a way of, hey, this is a progression. We're naturally going to help you get there by pushing you.
Yeah, so I'm currently writing this chapter called Expect Only What's Possible. Right?
Yeah.
So So I'm writing about. I mean, I'm still writing it. So, but I was working on explaining the concept of what you expect from other people. Say, for example, if I'm a thoughtful person and you're not, but you have other good traits, right? So if I'm thoughtful and I greet you every year on your birthday, if you're sick, I check on you. If you're down, I check on you. I shouldn't expect the same from you if that's not how you're made. If your expression of love is being funny, if you cheer me up when I'm down by cracking jokes that are not funny, then that's your way of showing love. So I can only expect from you what you have. Expect only what's possible.
Yeah.
I cannot make you somebody you're not. So if you're not naturally expressive about your emotions, I cannot expect from you to say, hey, Terrence, I'm so proud of you. I can't, because you're not made like that.
Yeah.
So I cannot judge you that Chris is not a good friend because he doesn't tell me that he's proud of me. I'm expecting what's not possible. That's not how you're made. That's not who you are.
Right.
Your way of saying you're proud of me is giving me a fist bump. That should be enough for me because I know what you mean. Right?
So, yeah, it's interesting. So, I speculate it takes a lot of self-awareness to recognize that in other people, to know like that is all they're capable of.
Yes.
So how would one go about bringing that up? Like understanding like, okay, Terrence can give up to this, but Sharon, she can give up to this. And it's different because they're different.
Yeah, well, flip the story around. Right?
Okay.
So then I ask myself, okay, so what if Chris's expression of being proud of someone is by giving someone a piece of cake. Okay, so whenever you're proud of me, you give me a piece of cake. But then I find that kind of silly.
Or you're like,
so then
I'm not gonna eat
then if I'm proud of you and I tell you, hey Chris, I'm proud of you, but that statement means nothing to you because for you,
I want to receive
you
cake.
you want to receive a cake,
Yeah.
like you do for me. But I find it silly to give you a cake. So should I say, Chris, I'm proud of you, or should I just give Chris a cake because that's what you expect? Because that's how your expression of being proud is. So the same way that I shouldn't expect you to be something that you're not, I should allow you to not in the same way that I expect you not to expect from me what I'm not, I should not expect from you what you're not. So it's just about understanding each other and allowing each other to be who they are. So accepting people for who they are and letting people be.
Yeah.
And that's one of the prescriptions of happiness.
I think that's so important.
I wrote a chapter on that about let it be. Meaning letting things be as they are.
Yeah.
And seeing the beauty of things as they are. We're all different and we should learn to see the beauty in our differences.
Yeah.
Because if we're all the same way, if we're all just going around telling people, I'm so proud of you, man, you're so proud of me, it means nothing. There's this certain mystery and certain excitement about our differences,
Yeah. There's I'm part of a book club and we're reading this book called The Courage to Be Happy. There's a two-part. The first book is called The Courage to Be Disliked.
Oh yes.
And one of the concepts in that book, I have not read it. I just was on a conversation where they were summarizing and going over some distinctions. They're discussing vertical versus horizontal relationships. And vertical, you always have the superior and inferior, meaning all the assessments you make are, is someone below me or above me, right? And then if they're above me, I give them authority. If they're below me, I'm like condescending, so to speak. And so you think about it in the context of like family. Family is the most triggering of all the interactions we have. And one of the experiments that they ran was like, how can you have a horizontal relationship with your family, which is to accept people for who they are, enjoy their contribution to the group, and show up to provide your contribution. And you do that without the judgment, right? And if you do begin to judge, you like catch yourself. You're present. I'm in a vertical relationship here, so I'm feeling one of this. So, it's so interesting to listen to the stories of when people allow others to just be and contribute and appreciate the contribution from other people, rather than expecting them to be something they're not. Everyone's experience was that it was one of the best Christmases. They enjoyed spending time with their family for the first time in a long time. It's like they're receiving a lot of positive or happy, so to speak, results.
Yeah. So I think the other message with what you just said is it requires humility. Humility is an essential ingredient for happiness.
Okay.
If you are humble, then you do not feel superior to other people. You do not feel entitled to certain things. If you're humble, you take what is given to you. Because if you're not humble, you feel entitled. Therefore, Chris ought to give this to me. Chris ought to behave certain way to me for me to be happy.
Right.
But if I'm humble, I'm going to say, I came into this world with nothing. I brought nothing to this world. I don't deserve anything. So whatever I receive from anyone is icing on the cake.
Yeah.
It's a free gift.
It's a blessing.
It's a gift.
Yeah. Wow.
You are not required to give me that gift. It's not mandatory to give me that. But since you gave me something, whatever it is, I'm thankful. Whether you gave me a small gift or a large gift, whether you give me a fist bump or a big thank you or a big celebration, I accept and I'm appreciative. So having a thankful mindset is one of the prescriptions for happiness that I'm writing about. Right? So if you're humble, you're thankful for everything because you feel you don't deserve anything. Whatever you give me, I don't deserve it. I'm thankful that you gave it to me. You didn't have to give it to me. I don't think I did anything to deserve it, but you gave it to me. Whether it's a piece of cake, whether it's a big thank you, whatever. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take whatever you give it to me. And then, okay, you may not be the most thoughtful friend, or you may not be the most generous friend, but hey, if you just want to spend time with me for an hour and a half and record a podcast like this, if you can stand being with me for an hour and a half straight, hey, I'm thankful. There's some people you can't stand that you don't even spend 1 second with them, right?
Thankful. Look at the time. I got to go.
So I'm thankful you even want to spend an hour and a half with me.
Of course. Yeah.
Right? I mean, so humility is an important ingredient for happiness. Because if you realize you came to this world with nothing, you brought nothing to this world, you just take what's given to you.
Yeah.
Right? Beggars can't be choosers. And so if you're starving and somebody gives you a small piece of candy, you're thankful, right? Because you're starving.
Right.
But if you're so full of yourself and you feel, oh, candy, you're giving me a candy? No, I want a steak. Then you'll never be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that concept applies to the smallest amount of things, like the cake or the candy example. That's very, very nominal, right? But if you can't handle it in that moment, then with much more, let's say, responsibilities or things like that, you're not going to do well. So money is an easy one, right? People say like, oh, I want to win the lottery. I'm like, well, if you don't have like good money habits now, like winning the lottery is only going to amplify and expose your current habits, because like that's just what happened. Like you're a human, you behave in a way that you just repeat habits that you practice, right? And so that's where the practicing the habits of being happy is so like powerful to living a good life.
Yeah. Like I used to have difficulty letting things go. You know, I hold on to things, and you know, so anyway, I had this nice analogy in this book that I'm writing. I said, you go to a restaurant, you eat sushi, and then you ate the raw tuna fish and you start throwing up while you're still at the restaurant, and then you have some leftovers. Are you gonna tell the waiter to put it in a to-go box to take it home with you?
Probably not.
Right? Right? So you ate the tuna that already made you sick. Why would you take it home? Right?
Yeah.
So if people offend you and it hurts it hurt your feelings, why do you want to take it home with you and keep replaying it in your mind and make you sick again and make you angrier and angrier again?
Wow.
Just let it go.
Yeah. It's like they control you in a way.
Yeah. So let it go means throw that leftover tuna sashimi away because it made you sick. Just dump it.
Yeah.
Don't get a to-go box and take it home with you.
That's a really
the
good
concept
analogy.
of letting go.
Yeah.
Right? And then I asked myself, okay, so how else would I illustrate that point about letting go? So it's like snowflakes. When snow is falling, it's beautiful, and you want to hold on to it because it's beautiful, and you keep trying to catch the snowflakes, and it all melts in your hand, and you're just busy catching the snowflakes, and instead of letting it just go and enjoy the beauty of the snowflakes, you're trying to catch on to it because you don't want to let it go. You want to hold on to the moment and keep it there forever. Instead, you're messing up. You're looking at
It's melted.
water
Yeah.
in your palms rather than enjoying the snowflake and letting it just go down like it normally does.
Yeah. That's really good. And I think to that point too is like, if you don't let go, that creates a whole new situation, like the leftover saying, or even the water situation where you're left dealing with things that that keep you down or hold you back, so to speak.
Or like a piece of coal.
Yeah.
You grab a coal, burning coal, it burns your hand. Oh, it's burning my hand. It's so hot. Put it in my pocket. Put it in my pocket and burn me more.
Yeah. Right. That's so, man. It resonates with me a lot because I noticed there are many. I've been in conversations where I noticed the letting go situation and just how much in my own life that it's caused me to hold on to things that I would otherwise let go or like want to let go of, but I revisit because the drama. It's the drama of not getting what I want to keep myself down. So anyway, but that's, you know.
I think sometimes we want to keep the drama going because it makes us feel righteous.
Yeah.
When I'm angry at you, I want to keep being angry at you because it makes me feel righteous. Because in essence, I'm telling myself I'm better than Chris because Chris is a piece of paper.
Yeah. Thanks.
Toilet paper.
Yeah.
Because I can't say.
I thought it was beautiful art paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because sometimes we hold on to the grudge or the anger.
Yeah.
Because it makes us feel self-righteous.
Yeah.
So it makes you feel good that, oh, I'm better than him because, oh, he did this to me. He's not worth anything. So it's pride, you know. Again, it boils down to humility. If you're humble and say, oh, I also mess up. I also make mistakes and I do things like that. And, you know, so, hey, people forgave me. I should just forgive people. And then it makes me feel bad to keep holding on to this hot coal in my chest anyway. It's burning me up. I might as well just throw it away.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's funny. That goes back to one of your points earlier. But in the coaching work that I do, we say you can afford the drama, but you can't afford the dream. And you want to flip-flop that where you afford the dream and not the drama. But it's the drama that keeps that fear going, that can hold you back from dreaming big or just dreaming in general. And yeah, it's always a good reminder to face, like, you're paying a price. Do you want to pay the price of the drama or the dream?
Yeah.
You choose.
Yeah, it's like a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
Right? The hot air balloon is tethered to the ground, right? But for that balloon to be able to fly, you need to take off the cables. So those cables are the anger, the hurt, your past, everything. Those are the stuff that keeps you down.
Yeah.
Or you know, or
you can't fulfill your function.
Bad company or anything. Those are the stuff that keeps you down. So
yeah,
just let it go. Yeah, so the balloon can fly higher. Sometimes there are also people in your lives that, you know, you want to be there forever, but sometimes your situations force you to let certain people in your lives go. Just let it go.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those are the people that are holding you down. So
as challenging as it may be, sometimes you have to let it go.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Good way to end.
Yeah. So let's circle back on the topic and let's have a conclusion.
Yeah. So
the topic again is the good
living.
life.
Yeah, living a good life in the midst of the challenges. And my summary is, like, you practice habits to find the joy in your life, and you set yourself up to live in these habits and practices as much as possible to live the most happy life that you can, all along the way, right? The journey, not the end result. And there's tremendous value in doing that, and there's many principles to do that, as you mentioned, and I appreciate those, by the way, because I have, like, those are good fundamentals, and I have different fundamentals, but we can all have our own fundamentals of what works for us. And the beauty of our conversation is I would never have known that had we not had this conversation. And right. And so there's beauty in the conversation where I can now learn from that for myself and also the audience too. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So I would end this by saying, a good life is not something that you chase. A good life is the fruit of your labor on a daily basis.
That's good.
Right? So it's a consequence of your daily practices. You don't say, I want to chase a good life. I want to have a good life. So I'm chasing that good life. There's no such thing. To enjoy the good life, you should put in the work on a daily basis. It's that journey every day. Put in the hard work every day. put in the self-improvement every day, and over time it will manifest. And it will manifest as the life that you consider good. That's how I would end it.
Nice.
So.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Chris and Terrence. This is a What Really Matters podcast.
Stay tuned for the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.
Yes. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.